Alright, big dogs, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be going over the Brimstone Sand release, so sit back, relax, grab a snack, and let's dig into this one. Alright guys, so before we get started, I just want to go over a few of these things. Like the top bit of the categories here are things we all kind of already knew that were coming out, so I'm going to kind of be going, kind of just skimming through most of this, but I'll be getting to some of the juicier stuff at the bottom here, so you're not going to want to miss this. So let's go. All right, so like we all know, there's gonna be a downtime on October 18th in the morning. So if you're trying to play super early in the morning, I'm sorry, but you're not gonna get to. It's gonna take about 4 hours as usual with major updates like this. We understand, we know what about size it is. It's about 2.5 Everfalls. So if you put 2 Everfalls next to each other and then half of another one, that's about the size of it. I think it's slightly smaller than 2.5 times, but pretty darn close. We understand that this is like an ancient Egyptian godlike type area. You know, we understand the aesthetic. Really cool looking stuff. We've went over all the weapons and things like that. Very Egyptian god, looking type things. You know, pyramids, ancient Egypt, that kind of stuff. We all understand. We obviously all know about the Uned Expedition or the new dungeon that's been added. It's just a new dungeon you can go into. I can't exactly remember what level you need to be. I don't think it's level 60. It might be level 60 Expedition. Let me know down below. I can't exactly remember off the top of my head. But so now there's going to be a new revamped starting experience. And this is where I'm really going to be digging into some of this stuff, because this is the big game-changing stuff they're talking about coming out with the patch. So I think all of you are really, really going to like this stuff. So a revamped starting experience. So they've completely redesigned the early levels of New World. So players who start the game or roll a new character will experience brand new stories and quests. We listened to player feedback about the starting experience in New World. We made the following changes. So, optimized quest flow. Quest flow through zones has been optimized with NPCs who move around with a story that takes players through each region of the game, unlocking side content to pace out the experience. So basically, you'll see here too, so new quest dynamics. We've added a variety of new quest dynamics, from wave events to tracking and traversal challenges, puzzles in the ruins, unique interactions with the world, and dynamic events players will encounter. So basically, what they've done is they've done more of an ESO style of questing. So for those of you who haven't played ESO or the Elder Scrolls Online, it's based, it's a game based off of the like Skyrim Elder Scrolls series, right? So it's their version of an MMO, and that game is very known for having very deep, detailed quest lines where you're going to have to do puzzles. You're going to have to do random world events that happen, whether it be killing a boss or being at the right place at the right time in order to stop a magical storm from erupting and things like that, right? There's a lot of events that are involved in ESO, but it makes the questing extremely fun and not extremely repetitive, right? Where, as we all know, New World has kind of gotten a bit of a knock for having, or a pretty heavy knock, I should say, for having a lot of fetch quests, right? Go here, kill this, come back to me. Go here, retrieve this, come back to me. Go here, do that, come back to me, right? Very repetitive gameplay, right? Not super fun or interesting. So not only that, but a lot of their quests, I'm sure most of you know, you would talk to an NPC and you would go back to him. And sometimes in those quest lines, he would move to, say, the main city of the territory you're in, or they would move to a completely different territory that you're in that you can't even get to because you're not high enough level yet, right? And walking through, there's a death sentence. So basically, they've paced it out so where now you're going to be able to gradually go through the game, maintain a solid level, and not be like, wow, I want to keep doing that quest, but I can't because I'm not high enough level to get into Brightwood or Bleakwood Barrows, or I can't get into Cutlass Keys right now because if I walk in there, a Lynx is going to one-shot me, right? So they basically have made it more... They basically made it more player-friendly in the sense that it's going to be like a better flow to the system, right? You're going to be able to continue on the quest line that you're doing, and there's going to be other quests that you're going to run to on the way, or maybe world bosses or world events that pop up that you're going to be able to kind of run through with players nearby. So they're making it a lot more ESO-like, which is a huge, huge thing. It's really, really good for this game because I've said this before. I think this game is better than ESO in the sense of graphics, um, voice acting, things like that. But what ESO has over it is the abundance of activities that their players can do. So the game almost never gets boring. Where New World can get boring for people who don't want to do the grindy aspect of the game. So this is all really really good stuff. So next up, they have a streamlined story. So they've revised onboarding to stay focused on the central storyline, introducing the legacy of King Arthur in Monarch's Bluff, and a curse and famine from the sorceress Medea in Windsward. Players will converge in the Hermit on the Hermit Jonas to start the path to becoming Soul Wardens. But the Jonas quests will all have consolidated in Everfall. The Hermit himself is now more mobile, while the story and quest flow is vastly improved. So I'm hoping that instead of having to just go back to the guy, he's going to go to other places of the map, so maybe you don't have to travel as far in order to return a quest, or maybe things like that. But from my understanding and from what I've seen anyways, basically the way they're going to be doing it is there's going to be a few new quest lines that are a little more story detailed. So that's going to be really nice. I think that's going to keep a lot of new players interested in the game, because that is by far New World's biggest weak point. Is yes, the beginning game is fun because it's just a really nice looking game, and you level up quick and the weapons all look cool, the sound design's great. But once you get to about that level 15 to 30 range, that's when a lot of people start falling off. So I like that they're kind of addressing that and definitely adding in more story elements to the game, being like, okay, well, we're going to make the story flow a little better. We're going to add a little bit more stories and make them more detailed so that you're going to want to listen to the dialogue. You're going to want to listen to what these characters have to say. So again, very, very good stuff there. So zone upgrades. We've also added a lot more characters to this, or a lot more character to the zones and settlements in Monarch's Bluff and Everfall, with new enemies, new major locations, and new challenges in the quests and open world, which is awesome, right? Another big knock of theirs early on was a lot of their cities were basically copy paste. A lot of their areas were basically copy paste. They didn't feel full. It didn't feel like they really cared, right? But they've been adding in new mobs, they've been adding in new enemies, they've been adding in new NPCs, things like that. So they're making the world more lively as a whole, which is really, really good. It's going to make you feel more immersed in the game. So this is another new quest line, Night Vale Hollow. So basically, it's just going to be another quest line where this is going to be the final boss, and you have to be level 35 or higher to start the quest line. So this is a limited event. So I should mention that this is a limited event. It only is running till November 1st, which is the day before the Fresh Start servers come out. So keep that in mind. If you want to get this done, you have to be level 35 or higher. So yeah, keep that in mind. Obviously, we all know the Great Sword has been released now, which I'm personally going to be running. It's OP. And then they added some new Heart Gem abilities. So adventurers can now further customize their playstyle through Heart Gem abilities. So Detonate, you overload yourself with Arcane Energy to detonate and deal significant damage on a large radius around you. Players can move and attack while the ability is active. Grasping Vines, punch your hand into the ground to unleash vines around you and root all enemies nearby. I think this is going to be a huge one for tanks. Same with Stoneform here. I've read this one already. So turn yourself into stone and become immune to staggers, knock down stuns, roots, and slows. Players can move and attack while this ability is active. So I think, again, these two are going to be huge for tanks. I'm not exactly sure which one is going to be more popular. I think it's going to be depending on if you're more of a lockdown tank where you're going to be chain CCing. In that case, you might want to do Grasping Vines, or if you're more of somebody who is going into, say, a dungeon that all the enemies are going to run at you right away anyways, and they're not really going to be diving for the backline, because you can taunt them easier, then maybe you want to do Stolen Form. But yeah, I think it's going to be kind of a based on the dungeon you're doing type thing for tanks, but I'm a tank player, so I'm interested in those. Cannon Blast, whip out a large handheld cannon and fire a cannonball that deals significant damage on impact. That sounds cool. That's something they should have added to the goddamn blunderbuss, because I like that weapon, but it just doesn't feel good. It just doesn't feel good. Anyways, Dark Ascent, sprout corrupted wings and fly up into the air, hover briefly, and then slam back down on the ground, staggering and dealing damage to all nearby enemies. So again, awesome. And then the way you charge Heart Gems is through combat actions like Dealing and taking damage, blocking hits, and healing allies. Once fully charged, players can trigger an ability. The charge resets upon use. Experiment with and upgrade each heart gem to find a favorite. So cool stuff. And then we just got merch here. So all in all, I think this is going to be a fantastic update. I'm about to start hopping on and playing here in a little bit once the update is done. Once I find out from the forums and stuff that it is live and we're good to go. I believe I actually just got notifications on my phone of people playing New World now on Twitch. So I'm going to basically hop on right away here. I'm super, super, super excited for this. So I hope to see you guys all in Turnham. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.
I lost my best friend to 23. She left her body in Harvard above me.